This is John Bailey, the epic voice of Honest Trailers, and you're listening to the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. It's a Fangirls podcast with five-ish people. The tangents and squee will continue. Squee.
The tangents and squee continue all the way to 365 of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. And the king has returned to the throne!
Bend the knee.
Yes!
We're not gloating at all.
Oh,
No.
Okay, maybe a little bit.
Little.
Yes, hobbits, you do bow to us. Welcome, everyone, to this week's episode of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. So glad you could join us. Let's start off fucking work with the virtual table and see who joined us this week.
This is Brittany in Belvedere.
This is Chrissy in Salt Lake City.
This is Sally from Wisconsin.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hello.
We are all winners.
Cue the queen.
Yes.
We are the champion.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes, but we will get to that.
Yeah.
Shall indeed.
It was an interesting evening last evening for a number
Yeah,
of reasons.
there are reasons.
From what? Yeah,
yes.
from
Yeah.
I
Oh,
went
my
to bed
goodness.
early last night, and when I woke up this morning, like, oh, what did I
Yeah,
miss?
really.
Yeah, no kidding.
I think the well, we'll get into it. I was gonna
Yeah.
say the
Yeah.
Oscars may be publicly dismayed, but silently they're like, "Dang, we got good ratings."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
People are already planning for next year, like, who is going to happen next year?
Oh,
Do we need to get a
Uh,
boxing ring in there?
Yeah, really.
I know. I've seen people like, well, maybe it'll be like Hunger Games, fight to the death for
Yeah.
to determine the winners.
From here on going forward, the Academy Awards are going to be like Squid Game. All right. Anyway, first, other news. In other winners, I hesitate to use the word winners, but
Oh, give it to them.
it is an award. So they are awarded, but the Razzies, of course, if we're going to have the Oscars, we're going to have the Razzies. And Diana the Musical on Netflix took pretty much everything, unless you were LeBron James in Space Jam and New Legacy.
Oh man, there're just some things that, and I still have I have no idea what this Diana the Musical thing is at all. I haven't looked it up. I haven't really wanted to, but
Yeah.
now I'm like, I might just like look up a couple clips just to kind
Yeah.
of see what kind of
Yeah.
cluster.
I
it really
mean, they
is.
have like, worst picture, worst actor, worst actress, that sort of thing. We're supporting, very similar categories. Of course, this year they had the worst performance by Bruce Willis in a 2021 movie. No surprise, Bruce Willis won.
Yeah, it says it right in the
I will
title.
put a link. I will put a link to the Red Letter Media video on their YouTube channel they did, where they talk about like all of these just bad movies that Bruce Willis has been doing, because apparently he has no self-respect, or he's really hard up for money. Nobody knows, but they dive into it.
He's going
Oh.
for the Nick Cage method of acting, I suppose.
guess, I don't know, but but anyway, but my favorite are the nominees in the worst screen couple. The winner was LeBron James in any Warner cartoon character or Time Warner product he dribbles on in Space Jam and New Legacy.
Oh
We
my.
had any klutzy cast member and any lamely lyricized or choreographed musical number from Diana Musical. My favorite was Jared Leto, and either his 17-pound latex face, his geeky clothes, or his ridiculous accent in House of Gucci.
Oh
Oh
boy.
my gosh. Yeah, the
Mhm.
Razzies people have a lot of fun with this stuff.
And And then to continue with the Jared Leto theme, I've been seeing a meme coming out because Morbius is coming out with the hands crossed. The worst DC movie, Jared Leto, the worst DC movie, the worst Marvel movie. And it's just like, brother. I'm hoping that's better than what
we'll find out, I guess.
Well, so far it's the critics whose reviews have been coming out, and some fan reviews. There have been some positives, so I'm gonna wait until the regular people go and see it and come back and say, "Oh no, it was all right." I mean, I'm gonna go try and see it this weekend. I'm not looking for a masterpiece. I'm just looking for something watchable.
Yeah.
And and if anything, I'm like, this character seems tailor-made for Jared Leto. It's like, how can you screw this one up? But we will see.
Mm-hmm.
But so you've got your Razzie Award winners, air quotes.
Mm-hmm.
And then I could hear Sean from Traveling Vortex pumping his fist, going, "Yes, I called it," but in a way. But Doctor Who, we've been wondering when we're going to get the second, essentially the penultimate episode for Jodie Whittaker's Doctor. We know it's going to be with the Sea Devils, but we now know when it's going to air, and it's Easter Sunday.
Yes.
So not Easter Saturday, it's Easter Sunday.
But Easter Sunday.
Actual Easter.
Actual
Easter. Actual Easter. Yes, actual Easter.
Yeah. And I like the little blurb from the BBC. In a swashbuckling special adventure, the Doctor, Yaz, and Dan come face to Finn. Sorry, there's a pun in there. Face to Finn with one of the Doctor's oldest adversaries, the Sea Devils. Why has legendary pirate queen Madame Ching come searching for a lost treasure? What terrifying forces lurk beneath the oceans of the 19th century? I can read, I swear. And did Yaz really have to dress Dan up as a pirate?
Oh boy.
Which we touched upon. When we talked about Doctor Who and the Pirates, we touched upon the fact that Doctor Who has not really done pirates a whole lot.
No, because the only other episode I remember is the one with Amy, Rory, and the Doctor and the Black Spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and I guess technically the Corsair is a type of pirate, so who's been name dropped.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I think in that episode. But pirates. It's not really a genre that Doctor Who has done a whole lot. So this could be fun. Yeah, I do like me some pirate stories. So as I've established. So give me pirates.
A couple weeks back.
Yeah. Although I'm pretty sure Jodie Whittaker's probably not going to burst into song. I could be wrong though.
Oh,
pretty sure there's not going to be any musical numbers.
Yeah, darn. But it'll be a nice little nod though.
Yeah. It would be nice if they put a little reference in there to us Big Finish people.
Or as she's getting ready, she's humming the Gallifreyan.
Yeah, really? That would be fabulous.
Oh, that would be actually kind of cool.
Like, I once knew a pirate queen once. She wore cardigans.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And chocolate in her handbag. Go back and listen to that episode.
Yep.
And then go listen to that Big Finish if you're not. And even if you have, go listen to it again. Mm-hmm. Speaking of Doctor Who and the Sixth Doctor, how appropriate is that? This week in the feeds of the Brandon Peters show, you get to listen to me talk about the other half of Colin Baker's run as the Sixth Doctor. So every day this week we'll do each of the 4 parts of the Trial of the Time Lord, and then Friday is a very, very special episode where Brandon and I break down Doctor in Distress. You are welcome.
Oh boy.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
That might actually be kind of entertaining. I have to admit.
At least it's not Dimensions in Time.
Yes.
No, that'll come eventually, though.
Oh, I'm sure it will.
Sure it will.
Yeah. I'm
You're
still
right on
waiting. Either Brandon or Charles, one of the two, is going to be the first one to have me on to talk about Dimensions in Time.
Start arm wrestling for it, boys.
Yep.
Oh, dang. Oh, well. Okay.
Yeah. I win either way.
True. Yeah. No, another thought came into mind, but oh, well. Okay.
So, yep. Oh. Brandon Peters Show. Check it out. All right. Moving on to feedback. Some feedback from Shalane. She says, thank you, ladies, for doing a musical episode of your podcast. I needed something to cheer me up, which I read that. And I'm like, oh, thank you, Shalane. You're absolutely welcome. So, I know she was having issues with her social media accounts.
Yes.
Causing
yes.
some headaches. So she
quite
was,
quite a few for
forcibly
all of us.
offline when she didn't want to, and she actually like tweeted and posted several times about how excited she was to be listening to us talk about Singing in the Rain, which obviously makes me happy because I was very excited to talk about Singing in the Rain. So, but she says, plus I'm excited for Miss Marvel. It looks good. Yes, it does, and it will lead up to The Marvels, which is currently in production, actually. She says, anyway, Singing in the Rain, such a classic musical. Debbie Reynolds did an amazing job with this classic. I got into Singing in the Rain when Debbie Reynolds passed away, and her mom, which I guess technically is also your mom, Chrissy, got me into this film.
Just on a technicality.
Yeah. During the start of my theater major in college. She says the only other films that she's seen Debbie in, besides Singing in the Rain, are the Halloween Town series, which those are fun. Kiki's Delivery Service, and then Charlotte's Web, the cartoon. She's the voice of Charlotte. She says, my favorite part of Singing in the Rain is Good Morning. You're My Lucky Star, and of course, Singing in the Rain. She says, other movie musicals or just regular musicals we should talk about. Phantom of the Opera, Mamma Mia, Hairspray, Annie, Into the Woods, Rent. She says, that's all the musicals that I know you girls know. Which there are a couple of those already on the list.
Yes.
For this year, potentially. So,
Yeah.
Shalane, I really hope you've seen Little Shop of Horrors.
Yes. If you haven't, you must.
Yes.
I'm gonna say if not, Chrissy's gonna sit you down and watch it next time.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love that one.
That will be a family conversation you do not want to have if you haven't watched it yet.
Yeah.
Well, no, we'll just sit down and
Let's
watch
just
it.
say Steve Martin does absolutely nothing for my fear of the dentist. To help.
He amplifies it. Let's just put
If
it
I
that way.
wasn't already terrified of going to the dentist, there you go.
He makes cousin Kevin from Tommy look tame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my. So yes, thank you, Shalane, and we're happy that you are happy with the episode.
Mhm.
It was always nice to hear thank you. I don't know why, but that just struck me as like, oh, you're so welcome.
It's what's the word? Endorphins? Is that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like that the endorphins get released and you're like, oh, that makes me feel good.
Yeah. To quote Elle Woods in The First Legally Blonde, exercise releases endorphins. Endorphins make you happy, and happy people just don't kill their husbands.
Oh man. Is that a segue?
Yes.
in a very tangential story.
Speaking of movies and other
Yeah.
things, thanking people, I'd like to thank the Academy. Yes, the Academy Awards were last night in Hollywood, and of course the glitz and glamour that is the elite were out in attendance and wearing their best and doing it up Hollywood style. So it was the 94th Academy Awards, and let's let's get some of the elephants out of the room first, and then we'll talk about the good stuff, like the fact that we won.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know. The only thing is, like, I won. Like, we won. I won. And then
the end, goodbye. See you next week.
Goodbye. Yeah. And then everybody. Then the only thing I just see a whole wall of memes about Will Smith and Chris Rock.
Yeah.
And
there were. I mean, even going into this year's ceremony, they were. The Academy had put themselves in a position where people were just like, or, well, are you ever going to figure this out?
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, people have just kind of been pissed about the Oscars in general anyway. Like, you don't even have to be a movie buff to know that regular people, your average Joe and Jane, middle American, at least in America, probably in other countries as well, but they just don't care, because it's like, okay, what all's going on in the world? How much crap are we dealing with? Economies and the pandemic and war and blah 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 blah, and we see all of these beautiful elite people wearing dresses and outfits that cost more than my car. And they're gonna sit there and talk to me about how to be a good person. F you, go home, go away. I have no desire. So that's kind of, honestly, that's where a lot of people are with this, and so it's not pulling in the ratings that even like maybe 10 years ago.
I think too, the choice of hosts that they have picked, and it's like, it's going to be spectacular, and then it bombs. I'm thinking they've got to go back to actors, actresses, or beg and plead Billy Crystal to come out of retirement.
I'm just saying, the Muppets, they are ready to go any second.
That works too.
I know.
I'm just saying.
Right?
I know. I mean, you've got ABC, because the decision, I'm sure, to hand out certain awards beforehand and just record it was because ABC was saying, look, you got to shorten the runtime. The runtime. Because, we're losing ad revenue. Your ratings are tanking. And
which the show that ran for 3 hours and 42 minutes, which makes it the longest show since 2018.
So they even failed on that.
Yes,
because the network is like, you got to shorten this, because we're not giving you all this time just to sit around and smell your own farts all night and piss everybody off.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are our viewers.
They had wanted to do. There's 23 categories. They wanted to take 12 off of the live broadcast,
which they did.
There was a big enough.
There
was a big enough, fight back on that. So they went to 8, which is what they ended up doing. So they had this. And then they were telling people, at least the people nominated in those categories, which was most of the technical categories, and like animated short, I think, and short documentary, I think, were the two like category non-technical, I think, so they were telling those people, hey, make sure you're inside the Dolby Theater by 7. And they had Jason Momoa and Josh Brolin essentially do that hosting. They taped it and then cut it in to the actual TV broadcast, which it's like, then what was the point of doing it early than other? The only thing I could think of was these people, the people, your sound editors and your visual effects artists and stuff. They tend to be the people that are sitting furthest back.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, if they do this ahead of time, they can cut out all the bit where they have to walk from all the way the back to the stage. And that's how they think they can cut time. That's the only logic I could think of. Was these people are going to take longer to get to the front to accept their award.
Yeah,
and it's not like, and a lot of times in these categories, it's multiple people that are nominated. It's not a single person. Right. So you're going to have multiple people that want to make, say something, even if it's just to thank their mom.
I think part of
their dog or something.
Yeah, I think part of it too is like the middle bits with all, I get, having musical performances for the, the original songs, but then like the bits with the hosts, that's taking up time.
Easily cut that out, and
it's just like,
did we really need to see Amy Schumer in a Spider-Man outfit?
No.
Was it funny? Was it funny her shooting, silly string at the people sitting closest to the front? Yes. But because I would probably want to do the same thing, like, hey, Steven Spielberg,
Yeah, it's just kind of, I think a lot of people, they'll just like, I'll just look at the winners the next day. There'll be a list, so I'm going to look at the list like, oh, okay, and then it's like, this doesn't have to be 3 hours, 4 hours long. It could be, 45 minutes. Just tell me who won.
Yeah, I mean, it used to be that the ceremony could be an hour long, and I mean, they've always had a decent number of categories, because especially back in the day when like color started to become a thing, because then they separated the categories, black and white versus color.
Yeah.
So, like, some of the categories you had twice as many because they had to differentiate. So it's like,
maybe they've just gotten worse at producing this and not running.
I think so.
Over time,
I really think so. I mean,
which is hilarious because they love to pat themselves on the back every year, like, look how awesome we are and how much better we've gotten at our craft. And the folks at home are like, look, we're not idiots. You guys suck at this.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, if they would actually recognize the movies that people have actually seen,
that too,
people would probably be more inclined to watch.
Yeah, I mean,
because then they're going to be rooting for something to be like, oh, I saw that, therefore I want to cheer it on and hopefully see it win, something besides the however many awards Dune walked away with in the technical category,
special effects and all that stuff. Yeah, it's like, okay, it's kind of like the Olympics. Like who? I mean, there are people who follow figure skating, gymnastics, or racing, or all these other things, but not most people. But you sit down and ask people, when you watch the Olympics, what are you looking forward to? Figure skating, gymnastics, maybe the swimming, or all those things.
That maybe even curling,
even like those things are fun when you actually get to see them. So people get excited about that. But with
and those are the ones that the network make sure to air, especially because of the time difference.
Right.
So they have to. They can't just be showing everything. They're going to be like, oh yeah, whoever.
I mean, maybe this analogy isn't working, because it's like everybody goes to the movies, but like the movies that get nominated, they don't really get any attention until it's like, I've gone to the movies.
Until it's award season. Yeah. I mean, Unspooled, they did a episode that was released obviously before the awards yesterday. It was released sometime last week, and you had like, if you look at box office for 2021, you don't get to one of the best picture nominees I think, till you get out of the top 10
Yeah.
of highest grossing movies
Mhm.
last year. Because it's like, yeah, some of these movies, well, I say some of these movies I went and saw in theaters. I saw House of Gucci in theaters. And then it got snubbed. Well, Lady Gaga got snubbed. All of the others I've watched at home.
Yep.
You know, I would have liked to have maybe seen some of them in the theater, but I just, couldn't make it happen. It was so much easier just to watch them at home, and because I'm already at home watching 5 million movies for gold standard. So
Yeah. Well,
it's
it's like I'm already comfy. I'm in my pajamas. I don't have to spend $20 on nachos that only give me half the cheese. Then
I can pause for bathroom breaks. I can turn on closed captioning.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
It's like, yeah.
I can play on my phone and nobody's gonna yell at me.
Yeah, I mean, the movie going experience, I think people are saving that for movies that they're like, oh yes, I am really excited for this movie, like a Spider-Man or Dune even. But no, like, people are, if they can watch it at home, no one's gonna go see Licorice Pizza in the theaters.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not unless you live someplace where there's like an art house type of movie theater.
Well, yeah. Or it's at the Dollar Theater, maybe.
Where it's got a different vibe.
So it's like you don't really know what you're cheering on. Some of these people are kind of snobby, and you're at home and you're like, how am I gonna pay my mortgage? Inflation's going nuts.
Yeah.
Gas prices are insane, and then there's these people with excuse me, diamond studded dresses telling you that you're a garbage human being, and you're kind of like, yeah, screw you.
Yeah. Well, and then they tried to appease us again with the fan favorite vote, which allowed us to write in. And then apparently Zack Snyder has a very, very, very strong fan base that could sit and do the 20 entries you were allowed to do per day, apparently. Which
and
that
then
was
some.
dumb. It's like you should just be able to vote once. There's 7 billion people on this planet. Granted, not all of them, have the internet and are going to be able to vote, but still, there are billions of people on this planet. Several hundred billion just in the U.S. alone. You don't need to be giving people 20 opportunities to send in votes.
Now, think of it this way: there are people on this planet who have nothing better to do than sit on Twitter and scream about stupid crap and get people in trouble and all that stuff. So who do you think is going to be voting for the quote unquote fan favorite thing?
Really?
Yeah.
And I think honestly, I think the fan favorite, they already had it. It's called the box office.
Yes.
Which and
Spider-Man No Way Home
crushed it.
Just the box office alone should have been in it. I mean, that's what we all voted for.
Yeah.
Right.
I know that's what the other team, that's what they voted for, because that was potentially going to be our tiebreaker, which it wouldn't have mattered.
Right.
Because, voting for the same movie wouldn't have tied it, broken anything, and we were ultimately both wrong.
Tiebreaker was documentary feature. Let's be honest here.
Yeah.
Not that we were in danger of tying, but
we'll get into that. But so they had fan favorite moment, and then fan favorite film, and the fan favorite moment could be from any movie.
Right.
And then first the winner from that is when the Flash enters the Speed Force in the Snyder cut of the Justice League. Like, no, it's not Avengers Assemble, when we finally get Steve Rogers going, Avengers Assemble, in Endgame, or the 3 Spider-Men team up from No Way Home.
Right.
Yeah.
Which was one of the top 5, but not
It's
the
the
actual
Flash
winner.
standing there talking to himself, trying to convince, trying to decide whether he should or should not enter the Speed Force.
Oh,
No.
brother.
Sounds fascinating.
Yes. Yeah. And then
So
the
the Oscars
film, I don't even know what the crap this movie was. Army of the Dead. What the hell is that? Is it a zombie movie? What is it?
It might be a zombie movie.
It's also a Zack Snyder movie.
It's the armchair Twitter warriors favorite. Yeah. Those of us who have lives and jobs.
Was in a helicopter and there were like creatures jumping at him, and I'm like, what the hell is this? I don't even know.
And I think I have heard of it, but only because like YouTube reviewers were talking about it and they were just trashing it because it was so dumb. But it's like the Academy can't even get fan voted
that right
stuff right. It's like, you guys really suck at this.
This is the
take a page out of the People's Choice Awards, please.
Yeah, or put them in charge of this,
right? Something. So it's
but anyway,
the hosts were okay. I mean, I did I did enjoy Regina Hall doing her supposedly random selective COVID test of some of the hottest men who were in the theater at the moment. Yeah. I thought that was quite funny. Yeah, especially considering Timothée Chalamet apparently decided that it was a shirt optional event. So
I missed that. Is he as like skinny and pasty as he looks in the movie, or did he actually?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay,
yeah. Pretty much. Yeah, nothing changed.
Yep, just a lot less layers than in Dune, apparently.
I just to let you know where I'm coming from. I binged Bridgerton over the weekend because I was laid up with a cold. If you can't hear it in my voice, and my mother-in-law was so kind and told Jared to take the kids and made me rest because I was like coughing and dying. I'm actually doing better now, but yeah. So after a weekend of that, I'm like, I'm a little more picky about those things.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I still love my husband though.
Yeah, not the worst host, but definitely could have been better. Some of their choices to like there was a segment that was a tribute to the 60th anniversary of the James Bond franchise where they name dropped all of the James Bond actors except for George Lazenby.
Oops.
It's like whether your favorite is Sean Connery or Roger Moore or Timothy Dalton or blah blah, I can't keep track of all the guys. And I was like, none of y'all bought George Lazenby? Really? Not going to include him in that. I was like, I know my brother is not watching. Otherwise I would have heard. But I did tweet earlier today. Like, everybody's talking about the incident, which we will talk about. And I was like, I'm over here waiting to hear my brother's opinion on the fact that all of the Bond actors got name dropped except George Lazenby, who is his favorite. There are people out there that George Lazenby is their favorite Bond.
I will say because a couple of years ago, Jared and I did a whole, we're gonna watch all the Bond movies from beginning to the end at that point. And I had always heard that On Her Majesty's Secret Service was kind of crap. But then we watched them like, this isn't too bad. I kind of wish he'd gotten another one. But I mean, I'm not going to say it was my favorite, but I enjoyed it. So I'm like, I'm a little annoyed at that.
Yeah.
At least they didn't screw up the song choice.
Yes. I mean, they did use Live and Let Die, which banger James Bond theme. So
yeah.
And the fact that it's Paul McCartney and Wings is just added bonus.
Yes.
So,
Now
which
you
makes
got
me
me
very
humming it.
excited to go see Paul McCartney again.
Yes.
And they did a thing honoring The Godfather, of course.
Mhm.
This is the 50th anniversary of it winning Best Picture and is widely considered one of the best movies of all time. I don't see it, but whatever.
There's
You
an
know,
episode
and
of Gold
unfortunately,
Standard that you
I
can listen
lost.
to, and that was very nice.
I lost the feed of being able to watch, so I had to rely just on audio for like the last hour. So the in memoriam segment, I only got to hear. And while I was glad that they specifically pointed out like Betty White, and apparently Jamie Lee Curtis was up on stage with the puppy.
Yes, she was.
Yeah.
Cute little puppy by the name of Mac and Cheese.
Yeah. And then Bill Murray talked about Ivan Reitman.
Yep.
So,
but
like,
they missed a few people. They missed Ed
they always
Asner.
do.
Bob Saget did not get on there.
Always people are always left out. But it sounded more like a gospel church service than like the in memoriam segment. Like, I get it, maybe not wanting to be so dour, like Sarah McLachlan in a help these poor homeless animals commercial.
Right.
But to me, it just came off just a little too. I don't know what the right word is, and I was struggling in the chat last night too. It's like it almost. It's not that it came off like too happy, because I've been to where people have passed and they prefer to call it a celebration of life, and that's what it is. It's people standing around talking, telling funny stories about this person did this crazy thing when they were younger, and making things happy, trying to remember the person they were and not labor on the fact that they're no longer here. It came off as just a little too. I hate to say the word religious, but it did seem it seemed a bit churchy, if that makes sense. Which, to each their own when it comes to religion. But I think you could have had it upbeat and maybe done something like a different song, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. It just came out. It just had a weird vibe to me, and I haven't had a chance to like go and look for clips. And maybe if I actually saw it, maybe I'd feel differently. But just based on what I could hear, it just seemed a bit, So, especially considering we had, obviously we had all the best original song performances, which that was pretty good. Although I missed Billie Eilish's. Because I was scrambling to get the feedback, so I missed that completely. But after the fun earworm performance that was "We Don't Talk About Bruno," like, even if you've not seen Encanto and you've been trying to avoid it, here you go.
You got it.
Earworm.
Another reason for me not to watch.
Granted, it was a modified version. It's not straight from the movie, although they had a lot of the cast singing. But they made it more Oscar centric, but it was it's still the same song. And I've had "We Don't Talk About Bruno" stuck in my head ever since. Thank you very much. So but yeah, so yeah, there's some weird things that, like, I think just comes down to the people designing and producing this thing just don't quite have their finger on the pulse of what people really want.
No. And that's kind of the thing, is like, yeah, you're celebrating the movie industry, but what is the movie industry but that you are entertaining people, like regular, average, like that is what your bread and butter is. And so,
or change it for 1 year for the Oscars. don't make it a black tie event. Make it casual.
Yeah.
Have them show up in their blue jeans and tops and make it more relaxed.
Yeah, like do something to like you actually relate to people instead of
right.
I don't know. It's like they try to be relatable, but they've got this whole glamorous glitzy thing going on, and it just people are just kind of sick of it.
Yeah,
I just kind of get that vibe. I mean, we're sitting here talking about it and kind of the competition, but most people you look on the internet, they are not talking about who won or who wore what. They're talking about something else. That
yeah, if there wasn't everything else, then you get the occasional unscripted moment.
Which I've
like
seen
the
people
the streaker in 73.
Which that would have been hilarious to see.
Yeah, really.
In real time.
Yeah, there have been unscripted moments, some funny, some not, that have happened throughout the years. And there was and there was a rather large one that unfortunately has taken the spotlight away from some very, despite whether we've actually seen some of these movies and whether we like them or not, the prestige that comes with winning an Oscar, it does have a certain weight to it. And to have someone like Jane Campion be the third woman to win Best Director in the history of the Academy Awards, although this is the second year in a row that it's been a woman, but still, because I can't for the life of me not remember the name of the gal who won for Nomadland last year, the one who wore tennis shoes with her dress. I can see her face, I just can't remember her name. And then Catherine Bigelow won for the Hurt Locker years ago. So there's your three.
That still amuses me that she beat out James Cameron.
Yeah, I mean, anyway. And then you've got your Best Supporting Actor being a deaf person. Oh, he's only the second deaf person to win an acting award. Marlee Matlin being the other one for winning way back in the 90s for Children of Lesser God. You've got Ariana DeBose, who deservedly won Best Supporting Actress for her for West Side Story, for her portrayal of Anita, 60 years after Rita Moreno won for the exact same role. And the fact that Rita was able to be there to see that happen was so cool.
It was very cool.
Yeah. And she is Puerto Rican, but she's also Black. So she's a mixed Puerto Rican descent. Which is fabulous. They weren't painting people to look Puerto Rican like they were in the original West Side Story. So that's good. So you've got like these notable wins, but that's not what people are talking about. They're talking about the fact that Will Smith, to quote Chris Rock, smacked the shit out of him.
And I will point out, because this was my other thought, that several years ago when Will Smith did not get nominated, I can't remember what movie he was in, and his wife made this big dust up about then that started the whole Oscars so white hashtag thing. And so the year he is nominated and actually wins, this happens. And it's kind of like, should I laugh or cringe or both?
Yeah. I mean, Chauncey didn't watch last night, so he had no idea what was going on, but he was looking at it because that's of course what everybody was talking about afterwards, and it still is. I mean, we're talking about it, and here's the thing, and this is my opinion. I'll let you guys speak for yourselves.
Mhm.
We're not necessarily going to get really into this, because in my opinion, this situation is
Mhm.
way is I've seen a lot of people's opinions, and of course, people are going to be, they're going to be motivated by who they're a fan of, or, you
Mhm.
know, if they, you've got the people that also suffer from alopecia that, want to,
Mhm.
or have Jada's back. Um, and, people are going to be cut, everybody's got their own background that's going to influence how they feel about things or emotional reaction. This is, and until especially Will Smith, comes forward and says something
He did issue an
to,
apology not too long ago to Chris Rock on his Instagram. It came
right.
up before
Yeah.
we came
And
on podcast.
and I don't know Will Smith, I don't know Chris Rock, I don't know any of the people
Yeah.
involved, but in my opinion, this situation is way more complicated and nuanced than people are
Yeah.
allowing it. A lot of people are just making
Mhm.
it straight black and white. One was right, one was wrong. End of story.
Mhm.
I think there's more
Don't
to
try
it.
to change my mind.
Mhm.
And I think it's way more complicated and way more nuanced, because you've got Chris Rock, who has a history of reaching for that low hanging fruit when it comes to
Right.
material for his comedy.
Mhm.
You've got, apparently he and Will Smith have a history that goes back several years. Chris Rock
With a
has
beef of
made,
some sort.
yeah,
Yeah.
Chris Rock has made fun of Jada before.
Yep.
Um,
At the Oscars too. It was
yeah,
because
yeah,
of what
and
happened. Yep.
yeah, and the thing is like when somebody goes through a physical change, you don't necessarily know what's going on with them.
Right. Don't go
um
there.
I was reading, I guess apparently some people made some remarks when Chadwick Boseman, the last time he attended the
Yeah.
Oscars before he passed, and he
Mhm.
was starting to look ill,
Yep.
and people said some things not realizing that he was dying from cancer. um so I mean, you don't know what somebody's going through.
Yeah.
Mhm.
um the whole hair thing, the fact that Chris Rock did a documentary
Yes.
for his daughter about black hair,
Yeah.
it does seem a bit hypocritical to me.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And
um
then
I
if
I
people
do
can believe some of the
as
reports,
a
that
as
joke
a
wasn't vetted that he did that caused this situation to happen. He went off
right,
script,
yeah,
supposedly.
yeah.
yeah. Well, and like go
And the thing is, especially, and sorry, I'll let you get,
okay.
as a woman, especially one who has gone through, it's taken me a long time to, I'm almost 40. It's taken me a long time to get to the point where I am comfortable with who I am and my body and the way I look. There are things that are out of my control. I can there are some things I can do to make changes the way I look. I've experimented with different fashion and all sorts of things. At the moment, I have purple hair. Why? Because I could. I felt like dyeing my hair purple. Why not? And I
Right.
have that, I'm recognize I have that privilege, because, I was I was like, should I? And at first I just did purple tips, and
Mhm.
they faded rather quickly. And I was like, well, I could just touch them up, or I could do the entire head. I decided, screw it. I'm going to do the entire head. Why? Because I know that I have a very healthy head of hair that's very
Mhm.
thick, and I know, as far as I know, as far as genetics are concerned, that I'm not going to run the risk of having any significant hair loss. Although, as I've gotten older, I have noticed it's gotten a little thinner in some places, but I still have plenty to spare. So in my mind, it's like, I'm going to dye it purple. If it screws it up, oh well, it's hair. It'll eventually grow back. Someone who, someone like Jada Pinkett Smith who suffers from alopecia, some people that may not know anything about the disease will just be like, oh, she's going bald like an old man. Like when I was born, my mom likes to talk about how I was born with a full head of hair and then it immediately fell out. And then when it started to grow back, she said I look like Ed Asner. That's fine. Alopecia is a disease. It is an autoimmune disease where your body literally is attacking the hair follicles.
Yeah.
Your body has decided you have hair, you should not have hair.
Yeah. My uncle, it's actually my mom's older brother. He has this, and he got it when he was a little kid. Like there's pictures of him, in his Cub Scout uniform, and he doesn't have hair on his head, doesn't have eyebrows, nothing.
Yeah, it's not just the hair on your head. It can be your eyebrows, it could be your body hair, it could be your eyelashes. Yeah. So, and like for years, he had he wore the ugliest wigs. I'm sorry, but it was just. But wig technology's come a long way.
This is true. This is true. And it wasn't until he got married and his wife just like threw out all the wigs and said, "You're fine." And then he was fine with it. And he wore a lot of hats, but I mean, it's it. And he's, as far as I know, I haven't really kept in touch with him, but as far as I know, he's healthy, he's fine. But it was for a really long time, he was very self-conscious about it. And so it can be tricky. I mean, kind of looking back at because I didn't watch it live, obviously, but once everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, this is a thing," and there was the unbleeped clip from the Japanese TV.
Yeah, here in America, the FCC, they're because now thanks to Janet Jackson's wardrobe malfunction, we now have that 15-second delay on all live television, so they can get in there and immediately bleep stuff out or just silence it. They don't have that in other countries. So if you saw, thanks to Japan and Australia.
Thanks you guys for not being prudes. But anyway, so so I went back and I watched it just because I'm like, well, what is everybody talking about? And you kind of watch it and people have, slowed it down and seen the, first off, the joke is just kind of dumb. It's like, it's not even that funny. Not even that it's offensive. It's like, that's sort of a stupid joke because G.I. Jane is like,
it's a very dated joke.
It is a very dated joke. And it's like,
I understood the reference, but
I mean, if it was a joke in like a stand-up set, people would be like, that was stupid. And also like, but Will Smith, like, because they cut to the audience and like people, he's laughing. Jada is obviously not laughing.
Oh no, you can see on her face. He looks could kill, and Will would not have needed to smack Chris because he would have fallen on the stage right there. Dead.
Although then he walks up on the stage, and I've heard people say like, well, maybe they think maybe he's gonna try to diffuse the situation, maybe because Will Smith's an easygoing guy, and he maybe he's gonna throw it back at Chris, and we're all gonna have a laugh and move on with our lives.
And I think that's what Chris thought too, because you see Chris's body language. He has his hands behind his back, so he's not expecting any sort of physical confrontation. He's leaning forward like he's expecting Will to like get in his face and like
insult
grab
him back or something,
like get him, like whisper in his ear or something, like, dude, that's not cool, that sort of thing. He was not expecting to be physically.
Well, at the same time, people are all like, "Oh my gosh!" Like he beat the crap out of him. Then I look at it and I'm like, It's like, it kind of made me think of, okay, this will be a weird. Well, it's like when you like go up to, but you'll see people like go up to somebody and it's like you smack them upside the head like you're being stupid. I kind of wonder if like that's what he meant to do, but it didn't. I don't know, but it's like he didn't beat the snot out of him for one thing.
In a punch. I forget which Harry Potter it is, but doesn't Snape like smack like Harry and Ron upside the head with like I've rolled
with a book? It's something
basically
like that, like
smack, but it failed.
It's like you're being an idiot, and they smack.
Don't.
So it's kind of like, and then then he walks back, and then he yells at him from the audience, and it's and everyone's just kind of, and Chris Rock is like just kind of standing there like, what do I do now? And I'm sure like the producer, like there's it probably has an earpiece, and the producer's like screaming in his ear to do something, and he's just kind of like, wow, what the hell just happened?
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of like, because it happened at the Oscars and it was so kind of dull up until that point, or people just weren't that interested. So this was like something exciting that happened that was off script, and people still like, I'm seeing comments from people that are still like, oh, it was totally scripted because the Oscars ratings are so low and they really need to do something to spice it up a bit. But I mean, the way that Chris Rock, unless they didn't tell him or something, I don't know, the way he just kind of
good of an actor.
No,
he's great as Donkey in Shrek, but that's about it.
That's about it. Yeah,
that's Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy. So see, he's not in that.
So it's kind of like,
he can't even be Donkey in Shrek. He's not that good of an actor.
No, but I mean, I'm just kind of like, as far as between Will Smith and Chris Rock and Jada and everybody else, like they got to figure that out. That that sort of thing. It's that it happened on live TV, and that it was at the Oscars, which a lot of people are just kind of about anyway. But then this happens, and then everyone's like, "Oh, did you see? Did you see? Did you see?" And that's the big story, because nobody cares who won. Nobody cares what dresses it got they wore. Nobody cares about the musical numbers. Nobody cares about the hosts. Everybody cares about this one.
Nobody cares about the sweet scene with Liza Minnelli and Lady Gaga when they announced the winning picture. I mean, all the
stuff that the Academy that they planned. Nobody cares. The only thing they care about is this one moment where Will Smith got pissed off, marched up to Chris Rock, and smacked him. And this is before Will Smith accepted the award for Best Actor.
Yes.
Exactly.
Which I think it would have been one thing if the Best Actor award had already been given and he won and he like had it. But then he, and everybody it was kind of like the worst kept secret that he was going to win.
Yeah.
So like then he had to go back up and accept the award.
Yeah.
Just like, I mean, and I don't know. I don't have a dog in the fight. Yeah, I don't really care who was right, who was wrong. I think they're all kind of acting like idiots.
Yeah.
But then again, that's sort of
I think everyone is wrong. Yeah, they may think that they were right at the time, and they may think they may be able to justify what they did.
Yeah,
I think they're all wrong for different reasons.
Yep,
for a myriad of reasons.
And it's something that should have been dealt with off stage and not in front of a.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a part of me that was like, this is not the Victorian era where if a woman's was dishonored and a man needed to defend her honor, and they may be like, I challenge you to fisticuffs or a duel, pistols.
Although it kind of seemed like Jada was like looking at Will like, you gonna do something about this?
Yes, yeah.
And
did you just hear him?
And Will's face after when he turns around to walk back to his seat, like you see his face for a second there on the cameras, and he looks pleased with himself.
Yeah,
he is smirking like I just showed him. Like, did you see that, baby? Yeah, I got you.
Yeah,
which I mean, there may be some women out there that enjoy the fact that they've got a partner. It doesn't have to necessarily be a man, but they've got a partner who is willing to stand up for them. And but then there may be some other people out there that are like, I'm a big person, I'm a big girl, I'm a big boy, whatever. Whatever your label is, I'm an adult. I can take, I can handle myself. So, there's a lot of, I don't want to be like, well, Will Smith should have done this, because it's really easy to say that after the fact.
Oh, yeah.
Just like there's a lot of people like after something terrible happens, like, oh, I should, people will be like, oh, you should have done this, or you should have, there's a a gal I follow on TikTok that owns a bookshop in Michigan, and her business just had its first anniversary, which is great. Yeah, especially with the pandemic and everything. And so they were having a party at the business with the customers and whatever. They're like celebrating the fact that they've been open for a year. This guy who was suffering from some sort of mental disturbance comes in, threatens the people, and then takes off, and the cops are called, and they eventually chased him down. But she got on TikTok and she's like, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that, I should have. It's like, you can think that if you end up in a situation where you need to do something, you think you're going to be able to do something heroic. Yeah, no, the animal part of the brain's going to take over more often than not. We cannot all be John McClane and Die Hard and be able to think 12 steps ahead and be the hero.
Yeah. This is something that they teach you when you are, taking concealed carry classes, is that you will in an emergency, you will default to your lowest level of training. And that's why they say you practice, you practice, you practice, you practice. Because if you are in that situation, you do not have time to think, and you do not have time to process. I mean, in a court of law or whatever, or the court of public opinion, which is what we're sitting in here now, saying, oh, well, they should have done this, or they should, or if I was in that situation, like, well, you weren't in that situation. You are, you're sitting at home on your couch, nice and comfy with your popcorn, or, watching it on a Twitter video after the fact, and it's not you. So
and you saying that you aren't going to do it, well, you weren't in that situation, and if you were, you might do the same thing that was done in front of X number of people.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm just kind of like, let them deal with it privately. As privately as they can at this point.
Yeah,
and I really don't care. I mean, the memes are funny. The internet's gonna do what it does. It just is what it is.
I will admit that I have chuckled at the memes, with the Batman slapping Robin cartoon. People taking the opening to the Fresh Parents. Like, I got one little fight, my mom got scared. Obviously, people are gonna meme.
The internet does what the internet is going to do, and in a week, it will have been forgotten by most people, and Hollywood will move on. Next year, maybe people will tune in like, ooh, who's gonna slap somebody now, and it won't happen, and we'll be back to, oh, it's just, who cares?
Yeah, but it's just a regular old Academy Awards. Boring.
Yeah, pretty much, and it's that's just what it's gonna. That's what happens. Like, I have seen these things come up and come around and around and around, and I've already seen people just say, look, I'm done, I don't care anymore. Or like the funniest one I saw was somebody posted a meme of like this guy in armor, like it's like a drawing, probably like an old D&D manual, and it's like, rest here, weary traveler, for this is not a Will Smith meme or something like that.
And I'm just like, thank you, I appreciate that meme.
Or here's one like, The Rock. In one panel, The Rock is makes the same joke, and the next panel, Will is pointing and laughing at something, and I'm just like, so if it had been The Rock, he wouldn't have done anything, or I don't know.
Yeah,
but it's just
the whole thing is just, I mean, it's it's unfortunate it happened on such a large scale. So it's unlike something like the what is it? What a Beyonce's sisters got into a fight with Jay-Z in an elevator. It's like, all we had was the really crappy elevator security footage to go off of. There was no audio or whatever. So the fact that this happened on such a large scale, so many people were able to see, and I'm not about to try to guess, if Will Smith was already dealing with something and this was just the straw that broke the camel's back, or we don't know. We're probably never gonna know the full story, and even then, even if both guys are like, here's my side of the story, it's going to be their side of the story. So it's to me, the whole thing is just it's ridiculous, it's unfortunate, it's not as black and white as people are trying to make it out. It's
there's a whole lot of gray.
There's a whole lot of gray in there, and we just need to let these people work out their issues without being under a freaking microscope.
Right?
Yeah. Although granted, it is Hollywood, and that's kind of I mean, this
I
is
know it's what we like to do,
Yeah. Well, and at the same time,
tabloids are a thing for a reason.
Yeah, and you know what? I mentioned earlier, I watched Bridgerton over the weekend, and a big part of that story is there's this gossip rag called Lady Whistledown Society Papers, and she talks about all the sordid gossip and the silly things that the elites do, and everybody is like, ooh, what is she going to talk about now? And if she's talking about you, it's like the worst thing ever, because but you gotta read it about somebody else. And I'm just kind of like, this is the same thing. I mean, celebrity gossip, and back then they gossiped about the nobility, the peerage, the whoever who was caught with what, and who was doing this, and who's doing what with whom, and etc. It's like, it just you want to think that we're more enlightened and more refined these days. We're really not. It's all just
same.
Animals.
What's that saying? More things change, more they stay the same.
Exactly. It's just now everybody has a camera to capture it, and
yeah,
and it can be posted and on the internet and seen all over the world before anybody has a chance to. What is it? A falsehood gets halfway around the world while the truth is still putting its pants on.
Yeah,
something like that. So yeah. It is what it is.
Yeah, it is. I mean, yeah, it is what it is. That being said, I will have in the show notes a link. So if anyone is interested, although I'm pretty sure the amount of Googling that Alopecia's probably had in the last 24 hours, not even 24 hours, has gone way up.
Hey, you know what? If there are any alopecia charities out there, maybe they've had a boost in
could be
donations.
I
don't know if there are any, but
I will have a link to the American Academy of Dermatology, their page talking about alopecia. And then again, I'm not going to, I'm not going to try to guesstimate. I know nothing, but because I know for some people, just witnessing this, for some people, unfortunately myself included, seeing someone raise their hand up to someone else can be triggering. So we'll also have linked in the show notes the National Domestic Violence Hotline here in the United States. So, because no one should have to get smacked around for any reason.
Yeah.
So
well, anyway, have we talked about how we won?
Yes. Moving on to the more exciting part for us.
Yes. Yeah, we pissed and moaned enough. Let's talk about the fun stuff.
Yes, let's talk about how we're awesome. And Chrissy should probably be playing the lottery.
I probably should. If Utah had a lottery, maybe I'll drive up to Idaho or something.
If I want to.
I know people who do that.
Yeah. So obviously, because of the pandemic and everything, last year we did not do our contest. But this is the third year that we have competed against another team on who can predict, that's a word, I could not think of the word predict there for a second, who could correctly predict as many of the Academy Awards winners possible. Obviously the first year we did this way back in 2019, That's right. 2019, we totally kicked ass thanks to Black Panther and
Bohemian
Rhapsody. The year after that, we totally got our butts handed to us because of Parasite coming out of seemingly nowhere and winning everything. And then last year we did not have a competition. This year we decided to bring it back, although with different competitors. The Spark of Madness podcast, unfortunately, because of the pandemic, has folded shop. They may come back eventually, hopefully, but at the moment they are still not producing any content. So instead, we ended up with 2 teams of 5. It ended up being boys versus girls. So we had obviously the 4 of us and then Zan Sprouse from a whole bunch of podcasts. I did the count, and between the 10 of us in the 2 teams, we had at least 9 different podcasts represented.
Oh wow.
Some of
Yeah.
some of our esteemed colleagues have multiple podcasts.
Yes, myself included.
Yeah, I was gonna say Rachel included, which is great.
Yeah, so we couldn't do like team 5ish fangirls versus team whatever because that just wouldn't work. So we ended up picking movies as our team name. So the boys, which was our brothers from Traveling the Vortex, Keith, John, and Glenn, and then Charles Skaggs and DJ Nick were on their team together. They were Team Annihilation. No way they were trying to intimidate us by picking that particular name, I am sure.
Yeah, no.
That being said, when we needed to come up with a name, we became their team Return of the King. So
yes, we were.
Because we were going to return.
Yes.
As it were. So, and we did. How dumb luck. But yeah,
actually, yes, that is exactly
a lot
what
of it was dumb luck. So yeah, so we formed our teams way back in late January, even before the Academy nominations had been announced, so that we could get teams put together, names, that sort of thing. We set up group chats for each. I guess Nick ended up taking over kind of the captain role for Team Annihilation to make sure they got their picks in. So what
Rachel
we did
was our team mom.
Yes, I was team mom. Cracking the whip.
That was all good.
Yeah. So what we did is we had a competition in between ourselves. So everyone did their picks. And then we pulled our picks together, and then it was majority rules, and that would be the team pick. But the idea was whoever won on the winning team would get first choice at picking the punishment movie for the losing team. So you wanted not only your team to win, but you kind of wanted to win in the team. If you if you had a really good idea for a crappy movie for the other team to watch.
Yes, indeed. Which I actually had the idea for the crappy movie I wanted the losers to win or to watch. Mostly because there's some sports YouTubers I follow, and they have a little show that they do, and they get super chats, and every time who the most super chats, they have to do a punishment. Had to watch this movie and do a review of it on the next week, and they were talking about it. I'm like, that sounds awful. Then I watched some clips in the trailer. I'm like, that movie is horrible. Mm-hmm. So I was like, this a month ago, way back when, I was like, I don't want to count our chickens before they're hatched, but if we win,
we wanted to be prepared, so we did have a short list.
Yes, we did
of bad movies, which we will not divulge because we want to keep those in the back pocket for.
That is true. That is true.
For future reference, yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Although I do know Nick has already watched it.
Yeah, and apparently he
Yes.
did not absolutely hate it, but Nick is an odd duck. So
Nick is very open-minded about films. I've
Yes,
noticed.
he is.
yeah,
Yeah.
Which, more power to him. But anyway,
Yeah.
so
I know Sean is crying at the idea of having to watch it.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to see Sean's review of this movie because I know it's going to be funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just Sean had posted a GIF and Nick just responded, "You'll have to see it to believe it," at Sean with a very grinny, cheesy smiled emoji.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
Anyway,
so
so we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves.
yeah. So between the two teams, Chrissy not only won our individual team contest, she actually beat everybody.
Everybody,
Yep.
yeah.
I did.
Both teams.
Which shocked the hell out of me because let me tell you, because everybody was in the chat, talking about, oh, I saw this movie and this is what I think, and we can watch this movie over here, and here's where all the shorts are, and all these different things, and the People's Choice, or not the People's Choice, the Golden Globes and the BAFTAs and blah 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 blah.
Oh yeah,
I
I treat it like freaking rocket science. Like I had an Excel spreadsheet going.
I know you guys do, and I'm over here going like,
okay, this one won this category at the BAFTAs, and this one won the Golden Globe, and looking at other, like I was trying to make a case for the animated short, which even if you guys had gone with me, I still would have been wrong. So it's like,
that one was an oddball, but yeah. So you guys are all doing this, and I'm like, I have no idea, and I, I'm not making excuses, but I kind of am, between work. And I've got 2 little kids. One of them has to go to a lot of therapies and all these other things I have to do. I'm like, I just do not have time to sit down and watch movies that I may or may not like. So I was like, I had a couple hours where I was on the reference desk at work and it was slow. So I looked up, the stuff like Variety or whoever does their predictions, or there were a couple of them, and there were some that I wasn't sure on, so I flipped a coin. That was actually the costume category was one of the ones I flipped a coin on, and I ended up being right. And I sent in my picks, and I'm like, okay. And then we kind of discussed, getting our group's slate down and narrowing it down to taking everybody's picks into consideration. I was just like, yeah, sure, fine, whatever. I'm good with whatever. And and Chauncey had to be our tiebreaker on
you,
one
Chauncey.
of them.
Yeah,
which
we had
that one.
Because with 5 on a team, it's like, oh, that's an odd number. So easily enough, we should have some tiebreakers. Problem is we had several categories where 2 of us would pick something, another 2 would pick something, and then a single person would pick something else.
Yeah, which
Right.
The math works out, but then so
we had to do some strategic decisions, although some were easier than others. Like we were tied on best supporting actress, and I put my foot down. I'm like, Ariana DeBose is going to win, or I will eat my hat.
I remember that conversation quite vividly.
I have to admit, my choice. I was gonna pick up, but mine. I accidentally. I was so mad at myself. Like, wait, no. I was too lazy to print out or write out. Like, oh well, never mind.
Yeah.
But
I mean, there was original screenplay and adapted screenplay. Really, that could have gone anywhere, in my opinion.
Yeah.
With those. But yeah, it was costume design was the one that we really struggled. We could not make up our minds between Cruella and Dune. And finally, I just had to. I stuck my head out the door, and I was like, "Chauncey, quick! Costume design, Cruella or Dune?" And he's like, "Cruella." I'm like, "Okay, there you go."
And the big,
right.
and the big conundrum on that one was like, well, Cruella really ought to get it, but is the Academy going to go that way? Because the Academy makes some really weird decisions sometimes.
Yes,
and
go listen to Gold Standard.
Yeah. So we were kind of like, well, maybe, I don't know, but yeah, Cruella won, which that was one that like I said, that was one I had to flip a coin for, and I got it, and I on my
the screenplay
own picks.
ones, we literally flipped a coin for those. because
right.
Yeah.
we were
And
just
I think I picked.
we could
and
not
I had
make
picked
a
Belfast
a-
on my sheet, but we couldn't decide.
Yeah.
yeah.
And I will say this, I actually kind of want to see Belfast now. That one and Coda. I'm like,
Yes.
because I'm like that
Yeah.
Coda especially. I'm like, oh, that looks like a fun, heartwarming. I mean, I got to be in
Mhm.
the mood for it, but it's
I
like
can
I
get
think
on the
that-
list now to do it on Gold Standard in a couple of years.
Uh, we'll see. I don't. Well, I got to see it first to decide if I want to review it. I'm already on the list for Titanic. Coming
Yeah, but there's
next
still
year.
going to be a significant amount of time between 1997 to 2022.
This is true. This is true.
Yeah.
So anyway, so yeah,
25 years.
I
2
know.
years worth of podcast episodes for us.
that is true. So and last night I was, I got to get the kids in bed. Like I said, I've had a cold all week. I've been trying to mute me when I cough, but and I've just I watched the chat, our little group chat, to see what everybody was saying about it. And Rachel was keeping a running tally, and like my score keeps going up and up and up
Yeah.
and up,
Yeah.
and I'm like,
the
you
thing
gotta
is,
be
is
kidding
it,
me.
And
it
Rachel
started-
Rachel
it
and I are
started
within
with
like
those,
one of each other and tying.
Yeah.
it started with those technical ones that they did before the main ceremony. So I was getting the results from that on Twitter
Right.
as we were waiting for the proper broadcast to start, and we'd pretty much been in line with all of those as far as production design and cinematography and all of that. So going into the actual broadcast, we were I want to say Annihilation was ahead by like 1.
Yes,
But we were
They
pretty
were.
darn close. And then the
Yep.
show started, and Best Supporting Actress was first, which we were the
Yep.
same on as Ariana DeBose. And then from there, Annihilation started to creep ahead.
Right.
And
I
then
think they were 2 up on
eventu-
us, and then all
yeah,
of a
and
sudden
then
it
eventually
started to change.
we snuck back with
After it was
with a few.
the
So-
documentary, I think I remember
Yes.
seeing that when I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
good, I we got that one.
documentary features where we tied.
Yeah.
And then it was down to the point where it was going to be Best Original Song was going to decide, because all we had were like actor, actress, director, and Best Picture left, and we were exactly the same on all of those.
Well,
Mhm.
So
yeah.
it literally was Best Original Song was going to decide who was going to win.
Mhm.
So
So it was a tight race. It's not like
Mhm.
we
Yeah.
came out and beat the crap
Yeah,
out of them.
23
But-
categories. It was 17 to 15.
Right.
Which, and then Chrissy beat that by 1.
I did.
Yes.
I
It's
did.
18.
You not only beat everyone individually, but you beat both of the teams.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh.
And now I'm
But
trying to.
individually, we were pretty on the nose.
The mark.
With
Yeah.
a good chunk of it. Every now and then there would be an outlier where like Holly was the only one who called Coda for Best Picture.
Mhm.
We were
And that was the
all
coin
for
flip.
Power of the Dog.
That's because everybody said that one was gonna win.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So,
Which-
but yeah, but it's yeah, and the fan favorite vote ended up being a moot point because the Snyder fans
Yeah.
apparently have
Nothing better to do.
They have nothing better to do. Okay. It was I was looking at things. I'm like, okay, which one did I pick that wasn't our? And it was original screenplay. I picked Belfast because I was like,
And I did too.
Yeah, I was like, Kenneth Branagh. They'll give him something.
Yep.
So that might as well be that.
Yeah.
So
That
so
was
yeah,
a coin flip. So
yeah,
Mhm.
it came down to the coin toss on that one. So
yeah,
Yep.
which is fine. But
Yep.
yeah, so I'm sitting here going like, I really didn't put in a lot of work into my not compared to some people, and some of our group, this is like their Super Bowl because they like
Yes.
do this, and I'm just I post about it on Facebook, and I made the analogy because March Madness tournament is it's gonna wind up this weekend, but it was going on, and I'm like, this is like. And I've done brackets. I actually did one this year with my family. this is like that group of guys who's like really into college basketball, and they're like agonizing over their choices, and they make their predictions of who's going to win the basketball championship, and and they make their picks all the way down from the field of 64 all the way down to the end. And it's someone's grandma who they just invited to participate to round out the group, who thought that the St. Peter's Peacocks sounded like an awesome mascot, so that's who they picked to go to the Elite Eight, which is exactly what happened. That's 15 seed, and I'm like, I feel like that grandma.
Yeah,
so I'm like,
which and the fact that
farther than the Elite Eight. So.
Yeah, I mean the fact that you got 18. But then 4 of us got 17 just goes to show that either way, it doesn't really matter, apparently.
Right.
Yeah, right, for sure.
You could be super analytical like me. And I'm pretty sure Sean is probably the same way too.
Yeah, I think Sean and probably Glenn too. I feel like those two, and Nick maybe to a point.
Yeah.
Or like, and like, carry the one and the square root of this, and then it's that.
Me,
it's that
I was
meme.
just like, I've been putting this off long enough. I better get it done.
Yeah.
Okay, I got time during break. Here, coin flip. Okay, done.
Yeah, and it wasn't like I wasn't serious about it because I really didn't want to watch a terrible movie, but at the same time, I was like, I really don't know.
Yeah.
Right. That, and I was just like, I'm running out of time, so I really can't.
Yeah. I mean, when it was all over, and I emerged from the little man cave from my computer, and Chauncey had been in the other room working on stuff, or he was playing video games with his dad or whatever, and I was doing a little happy dance, and he's like you're really happy. I'm like, yeah, because I don't have to watch a crappy movie. It's like, 1, we won. 2, I don't have to watch a crappy movie.
Yeah, the bragging rights are fun. I will admit to that. I am kind of a competitive little snot.
Yeah, because I told my mom about this. She's like, okay, you can go ahead, watch the Oscars. I'm like, okay, that's fine. And and she I kind of rolled out a little bit later than normal, and she's just like, so how'd it go? I'm just like, we won. We don't have to watch a bad movie. We get to pick one. Like, good.
Are we allowed to say what bad movie we're making them watch? Because I did get to pick.
Oh yes.
Okay, yes. So and I'll explain my reasoning, because Nick is all like, well, I actually liked it. I'm like, you little. No, so I picked.
Of course, he's Italian. He's not normal.
Okay, so I picked the movie Home Team, which stars Kevin James. It's on Netflix. Basically, I mean, I get it. There are dumb sports movies. There are dumb, gross out movies. I think the one thing that annoys me about this movie the most, other than Kevin James is he is what he is the fact that he's supposed to be playing Sean Payton, who actually is, or well, he was. I think he's retired now. The coach of the New Orleans Saints. So you think, oh, you're going into this thinking, oh, it's going to be a biopic, kind of in the realm of Remember the Titans or The Blind Side or something like that. And no, it's supposed to take place at the time when he was suspended because of some controversies, which I won't go into right now because we've had enough of that. He spends time with his son and his football team. No, it's like it's like, yeah, he does go and spend time with his son and help his coach his son's peewee or middle school. I don't remember. It's my football team, but it is so dumb and just so stupid. I'm like, and so you think that it's a biopic, but no, it's just a gross out comedy, and it isn't really that funny. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, and I am a football fan. I mean, sometimes the NFL is kind of on my not nice list now in some respects, but it's just kind of was like, how dare you? Like, why would you do it? This is so stupid. Mm-hmm. And Kevin James doesn't even look like Sean Payton. What are you doing? So yeah,
I told Chauncey last night, and he's like, is that the guy that did the Paul Blart movie? I'm like, yep.
Yes, yes, that is. Yep. It is Paul Blart. Paul Blart for trying to be an NFL coach.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is so ridiculous. So yeah, when I found out about it and found out what it was about, I was like, if we win, this is the movie I want them to have to watch. Or this is my vote.
Mhm.
And I got to pick, so I said yeah. And Rachel, I kind of ruined your drum roll last night in the chat.
Oh, that's okay.
I was just
That's
very
fine.
excited that I didn't have to watch a crappy movie.
Yeah. And it's like, no, I don't even want to know what they may have potentially picked for us.
Oh,
but
I know.
just
I know.
wait until next
Okay.
year and see what happens.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So they're supposed to watch it and review it. I don't know like where the reviews are gonna pop up because they're all on different podcasts.
yeah.
But I
Mhm.
want
It's
reviews,
like
guys.
just on
I
their
want to see.
just on their side. Those 9
Yeah.
podcasts, most of them are on that side.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Sean, or well, Ben has to at some point do it. This was in here, right? Maybe they'll review it on Traveling the Vortex.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, they could do it on Flicks with
I
Friends.
mean,
but I
Sean
was
will
like,
probably post something on the Flicks with Friends.
Yeah,
channel.
that's because
Yeah.
that's what I was thinking. But I was like, no, they got to get the other 2 in there. So I don't know.
Yeah.
However
yeah.
they do it, but I want them.
We told them it's like we do expect a review at some point in the future.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be like next week. I mean, obviously when we lost,
We got it
mid-February and we didn't do it till like late May. So
well,
it
we
was like
did.
It was like 6 weeks before we did Lords of Arabia. So
Arabia.
we all had to find time to watch that stupid long movie.
Well, we did put it on the schedule, so that was
yeah. We gave ourselves plenty of time, but yeah, we did have to
Sand.
yeah.
Way
and
too
unfortunately,
much sand.
Zan can't be here to celebrate with us because she's got pinball league Monday nights. So
I'm sure she's celebrating in spirit with us.
Yeah,
Yes.
she was very excited to be on the winning team.
Yes.
Well, it sucks. It sucks to lose.
Yes, it does.
Even without the whole having to watch a horrible movie, if we did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. But it was fun. I mean, all things considering, as crazy as it was trying to trying to coordinate that many people in the different time zones. Thank goodness for things like Facebook Messenger where you could just add a whole bunch of people. And everybody was really good about getting their picks in and being good sports about everything.
Yeah, and I like this group. This was a good group because there weren't any bad losers, no bad winners. Like everybody, I mean, we trash talked for a bit.
Oh yeah.
Because,
I mean, it was fun, tongue in cheek ribbing.
Yeah. It's all we're all friends. This is just for fun and bragging rights and kind of keeping tabs on what's going on. All the other shenanigans, with the Oscars put aside, doing something like this with a bunch of friends where, it's just, it's a good time. So I do enjoy it, even if I don't get around to seeing all the movies or any of the movies.
Yeah.
Well, no, I did see Dune.
Yeah.
But that's because I wanted to.
Yeah.
And Jared and I were like, nah, we need to go see this on the big screen. So we did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, so good game, guys. And
yes,
I look forward to hearing your reviews on your respective podcasts, however you decide to do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And should we offer the challenge now for a rematch for next year?
Yeah. Well, that's a given.
Or do we want to trade up teams? I kind of like our guys versus the ladies.
Boys versus girls.
Yeah.
It did make the numbers even, I will say that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we were gonna potentially do bigger teams and Nick was gonna be with us, but
right.
They couldn't get other people to flesh out the other team, so Nick just moved and then it became boys versus girls. But no, I think it's a good mix because we got a good mix of diehard cinephiles and casual people, and we obviously
just
are
plain lucky.
varied enough in our opinions.
Yes.
It wasn't just like everybody's all selected the same thing and then there's no competition. So
yeah. Yeah, for a while I was, because as I was worried about that. I was like, oh, these are all the same. Oh wait, that one's different. That one's different.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm like, ooh, this is gonna be a close one.
Yeah, which is
it's definitely
it's definitely a balance of you don't want to pick the wrong one, but at the same time you don't want to pick all of them the same, because
right,
you're the score. Yeah,
right, yeah.
So it's a little tricky there. So anyway, I did enjoy it just for the camaraderie and the competition sort of thing. So yeah. And next year I'll probably suck. I hope not, but
that's because you've got a while before Dune Part 2 comes out.
That is true. That is true. If there's a movie like the last time we won, it was Bohemian Rhapsody was the big thing, and it's kind of like, and then the year we didn't win was just, it was all over the place. So I'm just kind of like, that's gonna be interesting.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, we didn't expect whatever the name it was to win.
Parasite.
Parasite, yes. We weren't. That one came out of nowhere.
Well,
I haven't either.
It didn't really come out of nowhere, because it was definitely picking up momentum. None of us really thought that the Academy. We really just thought that the Academy would stick with the status quo and go with the war movie.
Yeah,
like
right,
they
and
do.
not the off the wall. Yeah.
Not the off the wall foreign film, because every now and then you will get a foreign film that does win Best Picture.
Right.
But those are far and few between, because I think The Artist, which we'll eventually get to on Gold Standard, which was the last. Technically, it's a silent movie, but it's also French. So, I believe. But yeah, I mean, just normally the Academy likes to pat themselves on the back, like nice, good American-made movies. Occasionally they will throw something to like the British, like a nice war movie, or Lord of the Rings being the outlier, but that was more just patting Peter Jackson on the shoulder for good job, you made 3 really big movies in 18 months.
Here you go. Here's your prizes.
Here you go. But yeah, I think I had more fun doing this after doing Gold Standard for almost 2 years, now that I've got more of the history and being able to watch the progression of the Academy, or really lack of progression from the Academy. And the decisions that they make, like when we talked Singing in the Rain last week, and we're like, they had this amazing movie, and for some reason they decided they needed to go to Cecil B. DeMille's weird circus film instead, because
dumb
reasons, So it's we can try to get our head to figure out what the Academy's thinking, but you can't, because I don't think they know what they're thinking.
No.
Yeah. And sometimes I don't know if we want to know what they're thinking.
No. Sometimes I think they're not thinking.
Yeah.
Pretty much. So anyway, oh geez. So sorry, I'm just kind of scrolling down on YouTube, and it suggested I watch Little Shop of Horrors free with ads.
I wonder why.
I know. They're oh geez. Sometimes internet. Anyway, so anything else we want to say? Just hey, yay, we're awesome.
Yay.
Well, if any of our listeners
look forward to doing it again next year.
Yep. If any of our listeners,
we don't have a date for next year yet, so
yeah, but we'll get there. Anyway, if any of our listeners want to chime in with their 2 cents on the Oscars or anything else that we've discussed on this podcast, past or present, you can send us feedback. Our feedback email is fiveishfangirls@gmail.com. You can also visit our website, which is the5ishfangirls.com. That has links to all of our social media, places you can leave comments or interact with us and download the podcast, and also to support the podcast. We're on Patreon and Ko-fi, and we have a merch shop. So check those things out. And as always, we thank you for listening and for all your support. And yeah, hope you all are doing well, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, all right. So with that, we shall sign off for this week.
This is Brittany and Bev just saying goodnight.
This is Chrissy.
Holly from Wisconsin. Sorry. Got ahead of myself.
I was like, wait a minute.
It's been nice. Been a night.
That's all right. This is Chrissy saying goodnight from Salt Lake City.
This is Holly from Wisconsin saying good evening.
It was a late night last night, so 3 hours and 40-something minutes. Anyway, this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana, and despite who you think should have won, could have won, might have won, shouldn't have won, in my book, the real winner is Penelope Cruz because her dress had pockets. Listening to the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. You can find more episodes and information at the5ishfangirls.com. Any and all books, movies, games, and any other forms of media mentioned are owned and operated by the respective copyright holders. No copyright infringement is intended or implied. If you wish to support the show, the easiest way is to leave us a rating and review. More ratings and reviews will make it easier for others to find the show. If you wish to support us monetarily, you can do so at patreon.com/5ishfangirlspodcast. All money goes towards fees and equipment to keep the show going. For official Five-ish Fangirls merchandise, visit redbubble.com/people/5ishfangirls. We love hearing from our listeners and encourage feedback. You can email us at fiveishfangirls@gmail.com. You can also like and follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/5ishfangirls. Thank you so much for listening, and may the squee be with you.